For more on this story, we can go across to France 24's Kethevane Gorjestani, standing by in Washington. Kethevane, the former president has put out a statement. What's he been saying?
Well, this 14-page memo was mostly a memo about attacking what the January 6th committee has been doing for the past few months. The president really went on the offense, attacking the committee, saying that they had spent all this money and time and they hadn't really gone into investigating what he sees as the real issue, which is what he calls the big election fraud of the 2020 elections. He went on to have pages of what he calls evidence of massive fraud in some of these swing states like Georgia, Pennsylvania, Arizona, and others. And he said that that was something that the committee missed and that they didn't want to look at, because that, he said, was why January 6th happened, because patriots, as he called them, were unhappy with that election fraud. Now, he also used this memo to rant about the fact that no one, including the fake news media, weren't paying attention or talking about how big the crowds were at the January 6th rally before the attack on the Capitol. He even put 2 pages of pictures to prove his point. But there was no real response to the main news of yesterday, that subpoena that came from the January 6th committee. No direct mention of it, and it is highly unlikely that the former president will actually agree to sit down and testify under oath. And it's also very unlikely that the January 6th committee itself will actually go through and trying to apply this subpoena, because that would take quite some time. They would have to have a vote in the full House to have a contempt of Congress for the former president, and then that would have to be sent to the Department of Justice, which would then have to decide to indict the former president and try him for contempt of Congress, like they've done with one of his former advisors, Steve Bannon. And that took about 10 months to happen. And of course, the January 6th committee only has a few more months left, because the midterm elections are coming, and it is likely that the Republicans are going to take control and they are going to disband this committee.
So then what next from the Jan 6th committee?
Well, as I said, not much time left, but they are saying that they have still more work to do, that they're going to continue investigating. And the big thing that we're waiting for, of course, is that final report from the January 6th committee. We're expecting this to come after the midterm elections, probably in the month of December, just before this Congress actually disbands. So we're likely going to see this big report at the end of the year. Another thing to watch out for, which was hinted at during the final hearing by Liz Cheney, she said, "We have sufficient information to consider criminal referrals for multiple individuals." Not more information as to who those individuals are, or what evidence they have, or whether they will actually go through with those criminal referrals. But that would be the final move that this January 6th committee could do. Criminal referrals to the Department of Justice, given their investigation. Who that could be? It could be some close advisors of the president, of the former president, but it could also be the former president, Donald Trump himself. We'll just have to wait until the end of the year and see if the January 6th committee can actually agree on whether or not to bring those criminal referrals to the Department of Justice.
We'll see how this pans out. Kethevane, thank you very much for that. Kethevane Gorjestani reporting there from Washington.